And we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barnon 11970. Welcome to my video. It's a channel hopefully for free thinkers or people that want to try and see different viewpoints to hopefully expand their mind, their thought process, and maybe even potentially their consciousness. I guess we'll wait and see if that happens, especially in this video. It is the 13th of July, 2017. The time currently is 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I want to talk about something and hopefully put it in a different or an easier perspective, because a lot of people tell me I have a way of simplifying things to make even the most complicated things a little bit easier to understand. Because one of the things I've learned when you're trying to better your life by learning what you can is that if you dive into something that you're not familiar with and you don't know what you're listening to, and it becomes complicated and you're afraid to ask questions, you tend to kind of get frustrated and you might even walk away. There's a lot of people out there that want knowledge, but I mean, it's like a kindergartner all of a sudden walking into a, conversation by some, college professors talking about things you don't understand. Well, it's going to seem like gibberish to you, and if they're not going to help you by speaking in a way of helping you to learn, well, you're sometimes just going to give up, and then you're never going to seek your truth or your advancement in life. And that is a sad thing, because in this life, we go through a lot of stages, just like with somebody passing away. We go through different stages. So there's a lot of denial at first, there's a lot of anger and confusion, and then you start to, what I like to call, understand what's going on. So the topic I want to talk about, you see the image before you is just a road that basically goes straight ahead. Now, I had a bunch of errands I had to do today at work, and I had a couple of things I had to do, so I was doing a lot of driving today. And on one of the roads that I was driving on, I happened to see, as just a glance in my eye, one of the stores had some psychic readings. And I thought about that. This is kind of how they, not even just like psychics, but how do I put it? Like, the people in control guide you in a certain way is to make you think there is only one way to go. And for example, let's just get into people that can predict the future. Somebody's future, they are not saying this is what's going to happen. It is saying of an infinite amount of possibilities in the direction I see that you're currently headed, this is the result if left unchanged. And this is what came to mind. I thought of a road. And I want you to picture this, because if you visually image these things, it makes it a little bit easier and clearer for you to understand. And I always love using that word, because it all comes from the inside. Let's say wherever you live, let's say, I want you to picture a main highway where you live that will lead to a major city. So wherever you live, whether it's in New York, if it's a major road, which would be the Long Island Expressway that would lead into Manhattan, or, if you live in California, where one of the LA freeways will take you to a certain city, I want you to picture that. Now, let's say you just merged onto that highway and you're headed towards whatever major city that road will lead to. So that would be the beginning of your trip, your present, because it's happening at that moment. Your future would be the destination of that city. So if you look at it from a psychic's point of view, even if they had the ability to see into one of infinite possibilities, what they're visualizing is the road that you are currently on. So picture if you are on that road and you do not turn off and you continue down that road, well, your future, in other words, your destination, your destiny, will be to where that road ends, which is that particular city wherever you live. So this is where people need to think a little bit deeper on how you can change even what is inevitable. Because in this world, we have an infinite amount of choices that we could make. It's due to your mood sometimes. It's due to outside influences. It could even be due to somebody saying, hey, I foresee your future. But what they may not understand is that they're only seeing one of an infinite possibility. Because like that road, if you decide to turn around or exit and go in another direction, make a U-turn, or what have you, you've changed what was originally going to be your path if you did not change it. So maybe that might help if you visualize it, to see what the future is according to religions, according to prophets, according to even people like Nostradamus. It all comes down to the fact that on the current path that you are on or we are on as a consciousness, if we stay on that particular road where that road's destiny is a certain point, the future will be, well, you're going to that city unless you change it. So that is anything in your life. And it shows how there is an endless amount of possibilities, because let's just assume somebody has psychic abilities and they are absolutely right. And let's say you go to a psychic tomorrow and they absolutely have been proven that they can predict your future. They consider it your future, but it's just one of particular infinite impossibilities. And they see the current path you're on, that they say, well, tomorrow I see you dying in a plane crash, which I hope never happens to anybody. So if with that knowledge ahead of time, you say, well, I'm not getting on a plane. Well, if you don't get on a plane, you could not be in a plane crash. So you've changed the future. So if you change the future, was her prediction true? Was it right? You'll never know because you changed it. The power that you have of choice, of free will. The more you rely on yourself and trust your own instincts, even when the world says you're wrong, you're crazy, you're doing it different, if you resonate with something to the point where it feels right in your heart, listen to that. Because there's a lot of things in this world that we either take for granted, we're not told about, and we tend to rely on others to guide us. Now, that would be great if somebody was guiding us that had good intentions. But if we look at corporations and banks and religions, they all base things on fear and servitude. They want you to give your energy, whether it's your money, your faith, or maybe just really specifically your energy, and they will guide you and protect you and give you their knowledge. Now, if they were great people that were doing great things, well, I would say, well, that's a good thing. And as we can see, YouTube's trying to mess with my channel because hopefully people are still able to hear me right now. But I want people to think a little bit deeper and trust in yourself and what is guiding you, because truth is irrelevant to belief. Because I'll give you an example, and I said this to one of my clients, and again, if you visualize it, you will think in a different way. Let's say somebody hands you a glass of water. They put poison in that water. And they tell you, now let's say this is your husband or your wife or your best friend or your family member, somebody you're really close with, somebody you trust, somebody that would have no reason to cause you harm. And they tell you, listen, I just want to let you know I put poison in your drink, and if you drink it, you're going to die. And you turn around and look them in the eyes and say, I don't believe you. And go to drink that beverage, and you swallow it down and finish it completely. Now, do you think, just because you did not believe that there was poison in that drink, do you think that will change the outcome of you drinking that beverage? You'll die, won't you? So even though you even believed what you said to be true, and you did not believe what they said was true, was irrelevant to what was. And that is something that people need to think about when it comes to their life, when it comes to anything. It is believing in yourself, trusting in your own instincts, and not forcing other people to do what even you may think is right. And that's another thing I had to learn. And that's why now I don't tell people what they have to do. I give possibilities. I give my interpretation. I give what I feel is right. And it either will resonate with you or it will not resonate with you. When people try and force their agendas on you, even if in their eyes and in their mind they feel it is right, it does not necessarily mean it is right for you. Because if you believe and you resonate with the fact that you are here and you created contracts before you were born so you can come to this planet, so you can learn something in life, then that means you made agreements with everybody that comes in contact with you for you to learn something. Now, unfortunately, we forget about that. So that makes it challenging because we cannot remember until we return. And when we return, it kind of defeats the purpose that we didn't learn what we wanted to learn. And the reason that we don't remember is it's like somebody giving you the answers to a test. You may get 100 on that test, but did you really learn anything? So what I want everybody here that listens to what I say, you don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to like everything. Take with what you think is going to resonate with you. But believe me when I say that you can change any path you're on. There is no future that is set. There is no destiny that is foretold unless you do nothing to change it. So like I said with the psychic, if somebody said tomorrow you're going to get into a plane crash, well, if you go on a plane and say, well, I'll take the chance, or say, well, I don't believe them, well, you have a higher risk of getting into a plane crash being on a plane the next day when they predicted it than you would if you decide not to go. And that's the ironic part that shows there are multiple paths. Because like I said, if the psychic was absolutely true and said in the particular path that you were traveling on at this current moment, I see that tomorrow you're on a plane and you're going to get into a plane crash. Well, if you change that destiny, then did she end up being right? Because the next day goes by, you decide not to go on a plane because you use the information she told you about the future to change it, making her prediction wrong. And it's not wrong. It's only one road that she saw or he saw. The whole point of this video is to get people to listen to themselves, to trust themselves, eliminate beliefs as much as you can, or at least have the flexibility to be able to change them when it is warranted. Because the problem with a belief is if you so strongly hold on to the belief to the point where you have no flexibility, you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. And each person comes here to learn something. And I'll ask a question. I want to see if people will respond to this in the comment section. If you had, let's say, you had the ability to make a wish, and they would grant this wish for you, that you would never again have to feel pain, would you grant yourself that wish? So in other words, you talk to a genie or somebody with magic or powers, or you even talk to God, and he could grant the wish that you will never feel pain again. Would you want that to be part of your life, where you will never again experience pain? So let me know in the comments section whether you're doing this live or later on when this uploads. Let's see what you would do. Would you agree to never feeling pain again? So hopefully people that are commenting will actually answer the question. But if not, I'll continue anyway. But I know eventually people will. So let's assume you said, yes, I would love to never feel pain again. Now I'm going to show you how bad that will end up being for you. Because think of it this way. Let's say you have a headache. Well, that means there's something wrong and your body is sending you a signal. So if you don't know what it's like to feel the pain, you won't find out that there may be a problem. Pain is an alerting system. What about somebody that they wake up one day and they have incredibly bad stomach cramps? Well, if it gets really bad, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the doctor. You're going to go research it. You're going to learn what the problem is. So in other words, that pain was giving you a signal that says, hey, there's something wrong here and you need to focus on it. So the only way we can think of to grab your attention is to cause you pain. Now that's what we consider physical pain. It's an alerting system. And Ben says pain is illusion. Well, technically everything is an illusion, but you still get a response from it. So even if it's an illusion, it's doing something. Because I promise you, Ben, if somebody, and I hope they never do it, stabs you in the eye, whether it's an illusion or not, you're going to feel that sensation. So if you figured a way around it, that's great. Please teach us. But it's a warning sign. It's a learning lesson. And it's the same thing that could be applied to your emotional being and what you're going through. Because and trust me, those of you who've been watching my channel for a while have seen and heard some of the things that I have issues with and problems that have happened. And you don't hear me for months at a time saying, woe is me, I can't believe I'm going through this. This too shall pass. What I want you to say is, if you have something in your life where it's going wrong, I want you to say to yourself, what can I learn from that experience? Because if you want to get rid of it, the fastest way is to figure out why it's appearing, what you can do to fix it or change it or learn from it, and then it has no need. I'll give you a prime example. Let's say you're in school, you're in 9th grade, and you can't pass any exams, and you fail 9th grade. What happens to you? Well, you get left back, and you have to repeat 9th grade again. Well, what happens if a second time you go through 9th grade, and you're like, well, I feel so bad, I didn't pass the first time, there's something wrong with me, I give up, and you decide to quit. Well, you never learn past the 9th grade. You don't progress. Or, if you don't give up, and you fail again, you get left back again. So think of your life when it comes to reliving or reincarnating as you learning lessons that will keep repeating itself until you solve it. I mean, how many people do you know, or have you ever been in a relationship where no matter how many people you go through, they tend to be the same person? It's because we're not listening to ourselves of what we could learn to change it and better it, and it keeps happening. And once you understand that problem, and understand it's your choice to go in whatever direction you want, even if you've done it 5,000 times before. Just like traveling down that road, you could have traveled the same way 1,000,000 times. It doesn't mean the 1,000,001st you have to go that way again unless you want to. So you don't want to give up pain, because just imagine if you didn't know what it felt like to drown. Just imagine if you're swimming underwater and you don't feel that pain in your lungs when you start to suffocate. You drowned. Or if you were asleep in bed and your house is on fire and you look up and your clothes are on fire and you don't feel any pain. What would be the rush to try and put it out or escape? So pain is there to teach us. The problem is we're taught, oh, poor baby, woe is me. Don't worry, don't do anything, we'll take care of you. Go to counseling, go to support, have these people take care of you. And of course, that's good for some people because, if you can get other people to help you, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when it comes to the point where we rely on everyone else to take care of us for everything, what are you learning? If you went to school from kindergarten through high school and somebody else was doing all of your homework, studying for you, taking all of your tests, and doing all of your work, when you graduated from high school, would you be any smarter than what you were when you started in kindergarten? Now, would it have been easier for somebody else to do all the work for you? Absolutely. Would it have been better for you? I'm sure you wouldn't mind somebody else doing all your homework, but you wouldn't learn, you wouldn't know how to read, you wouldn't know how to write. So that's what controllers do. They pretend to be your friends. Here, let me do this for you. It's the drowning in good intention. And even if you think about religion, Religion is all about trust in us without question, or you will be punished with eternal damnation. And if you do listen to what we say, you will be rewarded. So it's almost like training a dog. Give him a treat if he does well, take away the treat if he does wrong. And of course, they benefit from the treat, so why wouldn't they want to learn that next trick? Because they know they're getting a reward for it. They're not doing it because they want to or they have joy in it. They're doing it because they get something. For us, that's the ego. Doing something only for whatever reward you can get for it. Now, of course, there are many people that can do that, and with free will, you have the choice to do that if you so choose to. And here's the beautiful thing. When you have an infinite way of possibly traveling, you can always go back to your old ways. But the problem is we use too much fear and doubt. And of course, because it's a choice, we will get what we don't even want. Now just think about how ironic that is and how the world works and the universe works, that you attract to you what you feel. And you could sit there and say, oh, all these bad things are happening, I hate that. But if you're doing nothing to better your life or change your life, then it doesn't matter what you say, it's what you're feeling and what you're drawing in. And you could feel sorry for yourself, or you can turn your life around. Like somebody that's way overweight and they want to lose weight, but they don't want to stop eating cheese doodles and going to McDonald's every day and eating a sundae. Well, don't be surprised that things are not working the way you really want them to because you're not willing to put in the effort. So there are endless amounts of ways to go. The easy way, where somebody else is doing everything for you, may seem like it's a good thing. But if somebody else is doing everything for you, then what is your purpose? And that's what I want people to think about. And I want them to trust their own instincts, even if it goes against what everybody else says or thinks or believes. Because just because 99% of the people believe something to be true does not mean it is. As just as the same as if 99% of the people thought something was totally a lie, it doesn't mean it is. And it doesn't mean it is for you. So don't follow the herd unless you can learn something from them. Be an individual, but be unafraid to listen to all possibilities. And Mike says it's called free will, absolutely. But remember, everybody has free will. A child molester has free will. A murderer has free will. A philosopher has free will. So if a murderer wants to murder a philosopher, he's taking away his free will. But it's the murderer's free will to make the choice to take somebody else's life. So you always got to remember that it's not just your free will, it's everybody else's. And sometimes they conflict with one another. But if we live on fear, then we lead ourselves down a path where other people are directing us, and we wonder why those roads tend to lead to nothing but a dead end. Everything is choice. Nobody put a gun to your head to listen to what I'm saying. Nobody is keeping a gun to your head to keep you listening. Nobody is forcing you to believe it or even like what I'm saying. It's your choice. But if people only give you one direction, one option, one future, then question their integrity. Because they obviously are probably trying to gain something from you. And they can only get your energy is when you decide to give it to them, even if they trick you into doing it. Now, obviously, it's not nice that they're doing that, but it's your choice ultimately, even when you think you don't have a choice. And yes, KVA 9253 says, we are more powerful than we think. You are absolutely right. If you only knew the power that you have. And I said, that's why I say all the time, you are Dorothy. You have the power to go home all along. Just you don't believe it, Because there will be people that will say, oh, that's crazy. And there'll be lots of people that will say, oh, that's crazy. And a lot of people will be influenced by that. They'll be afraid to say something because they don't want to go against the herd and the tribe mentality. So they start to doubt themselves. And again, it doesn't matter. You could sit there and say, oh, I want to change the world. But in your heart, you really are too scared to because you're afraid to be criticized or attacked. Well, your heart is going to bring true what's really true in your life. Mike D says, God gave us a brain, use it. Well, absolutely. But always remember, we are all God because we all come from source. So we are all from the source. So we are all God. That's not vanity talking. It's just God splitting himself into endless possibilities to experience everything. Because just think about God for a moment. Just imagine, we'll put it this way. Let's just say you were God. You're never going to die. You're never going to experience pain. You're there in an endless, infinite space of emptiness by yourself for all eternity. And you had the power to do anything. So just imagine what you would do and how bored you would be after millions and millions and millions of years of being alone. You ever see somebody make an imaginary friend? Well, what if you were God and had the ability to create anything and have it manifest and interact with you? Wouldn't you create the universe? Wouldn't you create the species that live on it and the plants that grow? And experience something that as your godlike form could never experience, which is death and pain and depression and sadness, because it's just different from the nothingness for all eternity that you've experienced on your own. I mean, think about the movie, if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They show exactly that. You have Ego the Planet, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but you have Ego the Planet who says that he was a god. He was by himself alone for millions of years. He got so bored, he created all these other things. But they weren't real, but they were real to him because he manifested them. It's an interesting concept. Now, that doesn't mean that that's what happened. You can either say that's full of you-know-what, or you could say, wow, that seems to make sense to me. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm here to present alternative points of view to see if you resonate with it or not. It depends on what level you're on, or what level you want to be. And that's why I don't worry about me not getting millions of people watching this, because not everybody's going to get it. And that's perfectly fine. It's their choice. They're here to learn something. And that's why our souls they're ether. They're eternal. They last forever. But this is a third dimensional / fourth dimensional plane where ether cannot grasp anything. It can't hug a puppy or kiss a soulmate. You have to have a physical form. So your body is nothing more than a casing and a shell, just like your car is for you. Your car is your vehicle that takes you where you want to go. You're inside the car, which means you're part of the car. You're inside it. The car is protecting you and taking you where you want to go, but you are not the car. Just like this flesh that you have around you is not you, because you can remove your arms and legs and still be you. You can actually, who knows, in the future, they could sever your head like they show in like Futurama or some other movie, attach you to some computers, and you could live forever. So you're still you. So there's more to you than just this physical being. That's why we don't come from nothing, and we don't go to nothing. That makes no sense. So if you want to come to a third dimensional / fourth dimensional plane, you need a physical form to keep your ether intact so it doesn't just dissipate and float away. So the only way you're going to hug a puppy is by having a physical form. But your soul is not part of that. So when your body breaks down, just like eventually, no matter how much you take care of your car, it's eventually going to break down. You just get another one. So it's like, and God forbid, or Allah bid, or whatever you want to believe in bid, you got into a car accident. If you could walk out, yeah, the car is destroyed, but you could just get another one. And whether you believe in these things or not, that's up to you. My job here is not to judge you or force you into anything. It's to help people understand that you have the ability to think and do anything that you want. It's only when you believe something to be true is when you turn it into your reality. And it will affect you until you decide, today's the day, I'm going to change it. So if you want the rest of the world to make fun of you and you allow it to affect you, then you are not learning something. Because like they say, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. Because what if you had a contract before you came here to say, I want to experience love? Well, how do you experience love? Well, what about having somebody that you care about pass away? And it hurts you, and you cry, and you miss them. Well, you'll experience love then, won't you? Because it was taken away from you. What if you want to learn independence? Well, that might mean your family might have abused you, or your family might have abandoned you, and your friends might have made fun of you or deserted you, and you had to fight through that, and you survived on your own. Well, didn't you learn independence? That's the whole thing, like I couldn't understand with when I used to get bombarded so much by trolls and all the accusations and everything. I had to learn strength, how I can face multiple people trying to hurt me and still stand tall. It's being a survivor. How do you learn to be a survivor if you haven't been in a situation that you need to survive from? Near-death experience. Maybe several car accidents. Maybe an attempt on your life that you could have died, but you made it through. You learn that you're a survivor. Most people will view them as woe is me, poor was me. Why did that have to happen? It's an experience. And when you take your last breath and you close your eyes for the last time, in my mind, you just wake up and you're just nothing but light, making a decision if you want to come back and experience it all over again or learn something new. Because like a famous comedian once said, Bill Hicks, it's just a ride. And when he first used to talk about that, I didn't understand it, but now I do. It's like playing a video game. You can get shot and killed in a video game and you just respawn. But you didn't get hurt. So take out of this life anything that you want. If you want to spend your whole life in your house doing nothing, well, that's what your experience is going to be. Maybe you needed to learn how to be alone. Do you ever wonder why some people may be so unattractive they cannot find a soulmate? Maybe it's because they needed to find out how it was experienced to be alone. Well, if you're an absolutely beautiful person, you're going to have people wanting you all around you all the time. And what if being alone helped you to grow spiritually? Because if you're some beautiful person that has people all over the place and you're having sex every 5 minutes, well, you're not going to really care about where your future is. Or maybe you're poor because of that fact. That if you won the lottery tomorrow, who's to say you might start doing drugs or doing things that could put you in danger or at least take you off your path of enlightenment? Be careful what you wish for, you might get it. And if you start to understand it in that aspect, then the quote-unquote bad things that are happening to you may not be so bad because maybe they're keeping you out of trouble. Maybe they're giving you an incentive to continue to help people. And sometimes you need to be alone. Sometimes you need to experience the pain. And instead of beating yourself up for it, say to yourself, what benefits can I get from whatever's happening to me at that particular moment? And if you could grow and better your life from that experience, then it happened for a reason. And if it helped you to better your life, even though it was painful or hurtful, then was it really bad? And if you see it in that perspective, you will change your life forever. You will not rely on people as much. You will listen and trust your own instincts, and you will always know that no matter what path you're on, you can always change it, even if somebody says this is absolutely the destination that you're on. It's like I started this in the video in the beginning. If you're traveling down a road that heads toward a city, your destiny is to head towards that city until you decide to turn off, shut off the car, turn around, or whatever. The only way a destiny holds true is if you do nothing to change it. And that means making excuses. Well, I want to work out, but this. Or I really want to make more money, but I don't want to do what it takes. Well, then don't argue about what you want if you're not willing to do what it takes. So that's all I want to share with this, because I know if I make the videos too long, people don't like to listen to this much. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. Leave your comments. Let me know what you thought about this. If you think the things that I talk about help you, let us know. Put it in the comment section. So especially if somebody new comes to my channel for a first time, they could see positive, comments. If you disagree, you could definitely disagree. Just don't curse and, talk up a storm and say nasty things, because we cannot learn from somebody if all that you do is swear and judge. If you have a counterpoint, present it. We all have to learn. Well, we don't have to, but we should, if we want to all get along, learn to communicate in a better way, even if we're in disagreement. So thank you very much to everybody. I appreciate you all. I really respect a lot of my subscribers that come here. I mean, this has been such a pleasurable experience. I mean, every now and then you get 1 or 2 people that just do what they do. But you know what? It's getting so much better. I'm so glad to know that my videos have impacted people's lives, helped them to think in a better way. And to me, that is my goal. And I got a lot more things coming down the line that I'm going to be going through experiences of. I'm going to make a video about that soon, and I'm really going to try and go from what I hear to what I experience. So there's going to be a lot more in the future. It'll probably be a couple of months from now, but I want to start participating in higher vibrational energy and sharing my experiences with you. So I'm willing to put myself out there to hopefully save a life or change a life. And to me, that's important. So thank you so much. Leave your comments. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Share my videos. Any of my videos that you think will help somebody, please post it on your social networks, because you guys know that YouTube is going to do everything in their power to keep me silenced. But all that means to me is I must be on the right track, because if I was full of garbage, they would want to promote the heck out of this. So I know I'm on the right path. So thanks for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you next video.